Hotline. I'm Brent Daniels.
I'm Jamil Damji.
And I'm Jerry Norton.
And I'm Morby.
Every week we bring you the best information on real estate investing.
Be sure to participate in the comments.
And subscribe.
Enjoy the show!
So thank you so much for calling Wholesale Hotline.
Wow, that's great.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, episode 253. I'm Brent Daniels, joined by hosts Morby, Jamil Damji, and special guest Rafael Cortez. Last week we discussed door knocking pre-foreclosures. We discussed hiring people for door knocking pre-foreclosures, and I knew of no one better to really break that down for us than Rafael Cortez.
Well, thank you very much. I love being here, man. I miss you guys. I feel like it's Wednesday.
I know, right? Yeah, Rafael usually comes on my Wednesday show. For
okay.
Yeah.
So it's a flip on your schedule.
It's a flip on the schedule.
That's right.
A great flip.
But before we get into that, I wanted to discuss something that I was thinking about. All right. A lot of people add things to their life at the start of a year, right? But I think that taking away things is even more powerful. Taking away, maybe there's certain things that you're spending money on in your business that maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you're dealing with leads that you're following up with that will never do business with you. Maybe it's relationships that that are around you or that you're a part of that need to just go away this year, right? I want to challenge the audience as to what are some things that you should take away from your business and or your life this year that's going to make you more productive, more profitable, and actually build more momentum by subtraction as opposed to addition. So
I love it.
Go ahead. I mean, that's a really, really good concept. The power of no, right?
Yes.
Every time we say yes,
I got a good one when you're ready.
Yep.
Every time we say yes to something, right, we're saying no to a whole bunch of other things. Whether it's family, it's friendships, it's opportunity in business. But every time we say yes to something, to an appointment, to a silly, crazy meeting that we're not, whatever, right? We're saying no to something else, and more often than not, we don't even see the ripple effects of that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The reality is everything that's in your life right now that you don't like, you're choosing.
Yeah,
it's true.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So do the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Doing, one of the things I'm. Pace has probably a great example, but he's an example of it because as I've watched, his life and all the things, I've been around this man standing side by side with him for a long time. And I've also watched him just like explode and then see how he navigates being able to know where do I go? What are the things I do? What are the things I don't do? And the things that I don't do, maybe they're good for other people, right? Because there's parts of your life that were super helpful along the way, but maybe not necessarily as impactful to you today, right?
Yeah.
But those doors were open for you at some other times, or those types of things you were doing were great at those moments.
Yeah.
So there may be like learning opportunities for others who are on the path that get to experience those things. And, Pace, I'd love to hear your perspective on this because you've definitely done a really good job at curating life with all the things coming at you all the time from people, opportunities, properties, engagements to obligations. You figured out how to do it in a way that, you still amaze me with how much you're able to do, but you do it in a very impactful way. I think I've heard you call it kill 5 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
So explain that.
Curating life. I like that.
Yeah. It's just like, Brent taught us years ago about like, if you don't tell your money where to go, your money's going to find a place to go. So it's like pay yourself first, profit first methods and all of those types of things.
Yep.
It's the same thing with your calendar. So If you showed me your calendar, I would tell you exactly how much money you're going to make this week or next week or the week after, literally based on just your calendar. Okay. It's a roadmap. Your calendar is a roadmap to exactly how much money you're going to make. And so time blocking is one thing, but being intentional about it is another thing. And then at the highest portion of it, at the end of every year, Molly Tennant, who is my operating officer, my chief operating officer, her and I sit down for an entire day. It's usually on a Saturday, so nobody's bothering us. She comes prepared to the meeting. What she's prepared for is she goes through the last year of my calendar and she finds 100 activities that were put on my calendar that I did at least 2 times. And she goes through those 100 things. Sometimes it's literally waiting in an airport, right? Sometimes it's driving to the office. It's literally every activity, okay? And on my calendar, if we see that I'm at my house at 10 o'clock for a Zoom, but then I have to be at the office at noon, there's a 30-minute drive time there, right? She literally dissects everything. We list those 100 activities out, and her job is to remove, delegate, or double down on 75 of those things. So only 25 of those things remain on my calendar. It is primarily removing or delegating to other people on the team. And she asked, did that thing make you money? Did that make the company money? Did that bring peace in your life? Did that allow you to spend more time with your family? Did that, basically all the questions. And the majority of it is not more, we're going to do more work. The majority of it is, you shouldn't have done that. You know, you shouldn't have done that. We now know it didn't work out. So let's create an SOP or a system, operating system, basically, that says, if somebody asks you to do this, then the answer is no. I'll give you a good example of it. If somebody asks me to go on their podcast and they only have 7 episodes, the answer is no. Why? Because we learned statistically that if people can't get past their 21st episode on their podcast, they are 100% likely to quit. So if I'm going to go on somebody's podcast as
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
How many podcasts have I seen that are like, hey, jump on my podcast?
Yeah. And I used to
And
say,
they're
yes
gone.
yeah, they're gone. So what you did is you took your time, your energy away from something else, like Raphael saying, every time I say yes to something, I'm saying no to literally everything else, right? So even a podcast, or this morning I helped one of my Subto members close on a $4 million business she's buying with creative finance. I don't want to turn this into a long thing, but it's a great conversation, great topic. I know we're going to talk about door knocking today, which is one of my favorite conversations. So I had a girl named Ashley Delani. She comes to me and she goes, I have a $4 million dog grooming business I'm buying in Flagstaff, Arizona. Will you help me with the flow of buying the business? I said, no problem. But why aren't you using creative finance? She goes, oh, they're not interested in creative finance. I'm like, no, they are interested. They just don't know it yet. Let me get on the phone. And so I get on the phone with her seller and I dismantle an entire cash transaction and I restructure it as a Subto transaction where she only has to bring 3% down on a $4 million purchase. Okay. I then get on a Zoom with my attorney and I walk through the next steps of the next 2 weeks for her. Did I just kill one bird with one stone? No.
Nope.
I did a live Zoom where people could watch me calling the seller. 700 people in the Subto community watched me call the seller, dismantle the cash transaction, reset up a creative transaction. Now that lives in perpetuity for forever. Ashley now has momentum, which is great. And then I also could take a little clip of that, put it on YouTube to show people what I'm capable of. So I'm killing 3 birds with one stone, right? Yeah. And I could go on and on and on and on about the layers. So for me, when people now have a new rule, this just came into effect this last December. If you can't tell me 5 birds that my calendar block is killing, then it is not allowed to be on my calendar. I would rather be sitting on my couch with my wife, staring at her or playing with my kids than doing a meeting that has one purpose. So for example, this podcast, if you guys are watching this live, which we have hundreds of people watching this live right now, digesting content is one bird, one stone. Asking questions is another bird, another same stone. Also, networking in the side chat and finding a buyer, finding somebody to work with, finding a lender, or finding a title company. By the way, somebody asked, where do I find a good title company? Email Molly at pacemorby.com, and Molly, who does all my transactions in all 50 states, Molly will give you a title company in whatever city, whatever state that you're in that we like to use. Email Molly at pacemorby.com. She has a full list of all the title companies that we like to utilize. Molly at pacemorby.com. See, you killed two birds with one stone today. You're going to get amazing content on door knocking and foreclosures today from Raphael. And then you also got exactly what title company to use for the rest of your life. You no longer ever have to ask that question. So when you guys are here live, make sure that additional bird is getting hit with the same stone of you showing up by networking in the side comments with other people in the Subto, Astro, TTP communities. Make sure you guys are connecting with people in the side chat.
Yes, sir.
Got to make it count.
Well, speaking of making it count, we were talking last week about the pre-foreclosure process, what it looks like, what the best lead generation strategy to knock those kinds of deals out. And, of course, Brent was like, guys, there's nobody in the country who has built a better, consistent door knocking team than Rafael Cortez. And we've known you for nearly a decade. And, and so, we know you're one of the OGs in the game. You've been doing it a long time. You're the real deal. And it's super interested. I started grilling Brent on, logistics of like, how often does he got to hire these people?
What
And
does he pay?
what does he pay? And he's like, bro, I don't know the answers to this question. Do I look like Rafael Cortez to you? I'm like, no, your arms are too big. And
Facts.
but you're getting there though, bro. Good, nicely done. But yeah, we'd love to talk about that because of course pre-foreclosures is a great strategy for newer wholesalers getting into the game, wanting to go out and solve a problem. It's a great direct to seller approach. You can go creative, you can go cash. It's fast. It's like it's one of the lowest hanging fruit leads that I believe exists in a direct to seller model. And so there's a lot of guys out there right now who are probably watching this saying, I could really use a check in a month or less. And I think that's possible in a door knocking framework. So if you could walk us through the business, why did you choose door knocking as the medium for pre-foreclosures versus calling, texting, or anything else? And then what does it look like for you team wise? And then we'll probably have 1,000 questions for you after that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, let's open it up. Well, first off, thank you for that kind of introduction. Love you guys. And so one of the things that I started doing was adding door knocking, right? I like tried and tested methods of marketing, the stuff that's lasted since the beginning of time. And having conversations with people is one of them. It got sketchy on the cold calling there for a little bit, right? So I think everybody freaked out, including myself. And I started looking for shiny objects, and I went heavy on text messaging. That lasted a little bit. I went heavy on RVMs. That lasted a little bit, and everything just kind of went.
What is RVMs?
Ringless voicemail. So different strategies as you're going, just to bolt on, right? Strategies and leads to the team. Like in my head, I'm thinking, man, I got to feed the team, right? So I did start door knocking this is 2012, 13. I mean, I did it for a while, and it's rough, right? It's one of those things that it's like you get home and you're almost traumatized by what happened throughout the day, but it builds skin. I was having a conversation with somebody one day, and I was like, you can door knock pre-foreclosures, you can door knock, tax liens, and you pull all these records and do all kinds of stuff. But I didn't know. Thankfully, I found out a while back that you could just, actually monitor the county websites, for example, and pull the data quick. So the thing with pre-foreclosure, everybody's hitting pre-foreclosures through the phone. I have a cold calling agency, and we're doing all that stuff, right?
So you're doing cold calling as well?
Yeah, cold calling, PPC, and pre-foreclosure.
You call the same doors you knock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll hit him.
So 1-2 punch kind of thing. Do you tell them we've been calling you and you're not answering?
Yeah, actually. So for example, when we open at the door, Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we try to get a hold of you before, and so we have that. I mean, it's full disclosure right on that side too. So it just begins with a point of contact, and then shoot a text message. It starts a conversation there and everything, and then we hit them at the door. These are hot leads, guys. Like if we're looking for people in distress or people who have a problem that needs to be solved, pre-foreclosure is there. It's always going to be one of those things. It's a battleground, right? Per se for a lot of people, because it's definitely not a blue ocean. And yeah, you're going to have to go and know what you're doing in order to structure the deals and stuff. But there's a lot of opportunity there. And what people are not doing is showing up to the door. Right?
Well, if you look at solar, pest control, I mean, these industries were built off door knocking, and they're continuing to thrive in door knocking, right? I mean, I don't know guys in solar who are broke or going broke. They're like just scaling, growing and growing and growing. Same with pest control. I mean, these things, it absolutely works, right? And so again, you're in it, you're at the door. How does it go?
Yeah, so I mean, you open it up, right? And it's really, I mean, and if you guys want to shoot me a message, or I can give you guys a website, a link that you can download a script. It's a basic script that we use at door. It's simple. It's not too complicated.
What do you say?
What the door knockers are doing. I mean, basically, we're upfront about why we're there. First of all, it's not, we go there and, hey, listen, your property came across our desk today. I know there might be some issues with the mortgage. Have you gotten it, taken care of, right? So we go in there real quick. Some people don't like it, but the faster you rip that Band-Aid off, the easier the conversation is gonna get. You know what I mean? So we do that, and we open it up that way. And
do they sometimes think you're there with the mortgage company, or like, are
they do, but we disclose that we're not. We tell them, listen, we're not part of the mortgage company. We do, for example, I have one resource that we do give them, and it's 10 different ways of stopping the foreclosure process. It's not a printout. It's an actual link. So they go to a link, they download a PDF, right? But
why not a handout?
Why? Because when you leave a handout, you have something, there that they can use, for the next scenario. That's one thing. But you also don't have their contact info.
Right.
So you give them, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm going to give you a PDF that has information. It's legit information. It tells them, we're not acting as, advisors or anything like that. There's no advocacy going on, right? We disclose that as well. We just give them, some of the pointers or stuff they can, talk to their lenders about and in a framework. And right in the middle of that framework is selling your property. We tell them we want to buy the property. There's no sketchiness to it. And these people, usually when you're in a state of pre-foreclosure, there's going to be a lot of people that come at you, and there's no, they're not clear about what the intentions are, right? These people are already freaking out. The last thing that they need is ambiguity in a deal, right? So the more open and honest we are about it, I feel like the better response that we have. So it becomes.
I've been in the situation myself. When 08 happened, I was foreclosed on a multitude of properties, and I did the ostrich. I ducked my head in the sand, and if I had somebody knock on my door and say, hey, dude, you've got like 42 houses here, and 4 apartment buildings, want some help? Yeah. I could have used it, and I would have saved myself millions of dollars, a tremendous amount of heartburn and shame and guilt and all the things that I felt because of losing it all. Yeah. But I hid. I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. It was so discouraging. I was so upset about the whole thing that I really didn't know what to do. So how do you approach that? Because I remember the emotional state that I was in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was going to be, if somebody came and knocked on my door, I don't know if I would have been aggressive or if I would have been, just like, thank you for coming, I'm in trouble. I don't know what I would have been like. Right. Yeah. So walk us through the emotional connection. Like what do you need what energy do you need to bring to the door to not get shot?
And empathy is going to be the first thing, and to not get shot is important, right?
Yeah.
Because people are disgruntled at that point, and they can be. There's a stranger walking up to the door, so you have to be careful. It's just you have to treat this leads like, be especially careful about, the door knocking process, especially, right? But when you walk up to the door, it's not necessarily you're not trying to paint this horizon of, everything's going to be great. Hey, listen, have you gotten the issue resolved with your mortgage yet? It's one of the things that we would like to talk to you about. There are some options that we can cover, and so here's the thing too, Jamil, our door knockers, they're not negotiating deals at the door. That's a big thing, right? What they're doing is they're setting up the appointment for
a call
for our closer. Yeah, for a
and the
closer.
closer is in person, or is it
either the call or the closer shows up to the appointment?
Okay.
So, and I'll get into the attrition and the hiring and the reason why we do that, right? But the conversation, think about a very top level conversation, right? It's a very shallow type of conversation. We're not being intrusive as to, their personal situation. It's, I mean, we're staying pretty pragmatic at, on the side of
You're throwing out all the big words today.
There's a
ambiguity.
Well, you started it. I learned them through a dictionary, man. My first language is Spanish.
Got word of the day.
I got graded on.
How do you say ambiguous in Spanish?
I'm not sure. I learned it in English. That's a crazy thing.
Okay.
I didn't read that dictionary in Spanish. But anyway, so you get to that point where you can't go too deep too soon. You know what I mean? You have to be considerate of that type of stuff. If you want an opening, for example, for the door, I mean, we're looking for the property owner, right? And we go straight, hi, I'm looking for John, right? And we have this lady. She's amazing. She's amazing at setting. She's an amazing setter, but she has that caring personality. She genuinely, feels what's going on. She's very empathic in that sense, right? And it's like, I know you're probably getting a lot of conversations, or you've been might be getting a lot of calls, maybe a few calls from your lender, but we are here because there's a situation probably going on with your mortgage. The question is, I mean, have you gotten it resolved? And if not, we would like to talk to you about it. Can I have 5 minutes of your time? Right. So we unload on them at the beginning. You're telling them who you are. You're telling them what you're there for, and you're giving them the option to refuse. Right. Okay. And of course, if they do refuse, we'll follow up with the call, skip trace, text message, and we continue on because it's a matter of staying in front of them. There's going to be a point where they see no other exit if they can't resolve it, and they need to talk to somebody.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and side chat, please don't take this the wrong way. Okay, but it's an honest question, and I think it's probably something that people are thinking about. Maybe they don't think that it'll be asked, but I'm going to ask it. And again, don't take offense to it. I'm just wondering. Is there a specific avatar of person that works better at the door? I mean, like Henry Washington, for instance, a 400-pound African-American man, he's 6'9", right? If he shows up at my door or somebody's door, that's it's gonna just be a different situation versus Laura Morby, right? Like two completely different people. And so I'm wondering, when you're looking at this, are you hiring specific avatars of people? Do one work better than the other? Male, female, white, black, brown? Like, what is that? What is the avatar of the person who's at the door?
Such a good question, man. I mean, we've hired a lot, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of turnover in this space. But I've been proven wrong. I thought there was. I thought there was an avatar, and I was looking for that particular avatar, right? Somebody who's very relatable, somebody who's, they're on the supportive side, not necessarily on the salesy side, because you have to build rapport quick. And I'm trying to make all these, assumptions based on behavioral tendencies and character, and men and women and tall or short and everything in between, right? And dude, I mean, I'm telling you, for example, the lady that I'm talking about, she was transaction coordination.
Okay. And
I mean, you put her in front of a door with a seller, and she makes them their best friend, but she genuinely cares. And I think at the end of the day, and you understand this very well, at the end of the day is the energy they're carrying in there.
Right.
Right. If you go in there, even if you have the killer script and every perfect word that you can say to somebody, but your energy is off because you're not there for them, you're not there to provide a solution, you're just thinking about the buck, they're going to smell that a mile away. Right. And I think, I mean, that's important to understand here, when you do that. So to answer your question is no, I mean, I've had women do great. I have guys do great. I have one of the guys that's on it right now. I mean, he's a student at ASU's and he's crushing it. He's a young kid. Right.
Awesome.
And you would think it's like, no, he's it's a younger kid. What's he going to know about real estate and whatnot? He's doing great.
I think there's people will have a reason to give themselves an excuse not to do it. Right.
Right.
So they'll look at themselves and they'll say, yeah, but if I show up at the door, they're probably not going to want to answer the door or whatever. But you're saying it doesn't matter. If you show up to the energy, if you show up to the door with a helpful energy, an empathetic, helpful energy, then your chances of success are just as good, regardless of male, female, white, black, brown, tall, short, fat, skinny. None of that matters. Your energy precedes you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'll stand
Wow.
by that.
I wasn't expecting that.
No,
But
I mean,
that's incredibly encouraging to know, you know.
Kelly saying TC Power, heck yeah. So you know what I mean, and it's something very interesting because I thought I was hiring for, again, the perfect avatar. Now I've been proven wrong. Now that's one thing. That's one aspect of it. Another thing that works really, really well is getting to them fast. The faster that you can get to those leads, the better the odds, right? And I mean, you can go, if you want to do it manually, if you want to do it yourself, you can go to the county office, the county assessor's office, and find out, what properties are being served in foreclosure. A lot of counties have actually, websites that are posting their foreclosures in real time. So they'll send them out.
So you're saying go to the county before like pulling a list off batch or a prop or anything like that. So why? Explain why. Why is the county better than a list providing service?
Speed.
And what do you mean by that? Like, so is it newer information? Is it like it just got filed and so it's
Yeah, I love the questions, and yes, so it's new information when it's posted on the county. There's always going to be a delay, right? It doesn't matter what platform you go into. Unless you're going straight to the source, right? There's always going to be a certain delay in the data that we get. So say that if it's a 5-day delay before the platforms get updated, right? You have 5 days that nobody else has been touching those leads. Right. But if you go straight to the county and you're looking at these records, right, and you make it a practice and you have your own process going, you're going to be able to see them pop up. What happens? You create a list and then boom, you hit them right away. You hit them the next day. Right. Today, now we have a process where we have AI that's in the software. Like we have AI that's scraping county websites and compiling information, getting all the data in, and then pushing it out. So as soon as it gets posted in the counties that we're operating in, our drivers get the information on the field. So literally like within a couple of minutes, right? So we're ahead of the game by, you're talking 5-7 days, which is crucial because now we're mapping out, we're door knocking, and we're showing up before even people get, serviced.
That's gangster.
It's a pretty interesting thing.
Are you paying these guys hourly and gals?
No, we pay commission. So we pay based on deal close. We do a 3K fee.
You're not paying them anything.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there's a couple of them that are on the payroll. They've been together for years or with us for years. But again, there's attrition, right? So if you hire somebody to come in and door knock, you have to, test them out for a while. And you're going to lose a lot of money because, again, the attrition is high. It's kind of like, I mean, when we hire cold callers, right? You hire cold callers, there's going to be attrition in that. And like people say, yes. And then they're into it.
Let's explain attrition for the people in the back. So these are guys who come in. And when he says costs him money, you might be thinking, how does it cost you money? It's commission based. Well, it takes resources. They got to train this person.
Yeah.
There's time. There's a whole thing, right?
Thank you,
Dennis. That whole reality is that this could potentially cost you every time somebody comes into the. Have you figured out what it costs you when somebody joins your team and quits right away?
No, I don't have that exact number. I probably should. And then I get scared about calculating the opportunity loss when you get leads and they don't get them, that type of stuff. So, I mean, it's hard to quantify, but we do have, like, for example, I mean, we have 3 people right out of the gate that are in charge of onboarding, right? So we start training, we start onboarding, and I have resources, training and videos and all kinds of the bells and whistles, but there's still support that needs to be done, right? And then we place them with a manager. That manager loses a day of high production because they're kind of walking everybody else through the process. So there's a lot of things that happen. You want to mitigate that.
Who's going to do this job and not get guaranteed payment?
I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. I mean, we get a lot more applications. Yeah, we get a lot more applications. People that want to learn.
How do they find out about it?
People that want to learn about real estate. Think about paid internships. That type of stuff. If you go to your real estate associations, man, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to get in it. I mean, there's real estate agents that are getting in it. There's people that are jumping from verticals, right? So they're in the solar space, on the insurance space. They're used to door knocking. It's like, yeah, I can switch the script, and it's just a different process. Again, the thing that makes it stick is all these people, and because that's a high turnover, so people come in and out of the business, right? So expect to hire and fire, right? As you're until
what
you
percentage?
Get
what percentage quit? Would you say like you get 10 people to stay?
I mean, on the
for
money,
how long?
On the money, and you usually have
a month, 2 months.
No, I mean you're talking around 6 months. Some stay longer and whatnot. So it depends, right? Again, there's attrition. And that's a challenge. Like when people are hiring for cold caller, or I'm sorry, for door knockers, that's the challenge that, that we come like, nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to do this. One, you have to give them fair shots. Right. And if you're first to the data, you have fair shots.
Right.
Right. That's one. You have to train them. You have to show them how the conversation goes. And you have to make sure that they're able to have clear, easy wins. They're not going to go through a 6-month process on learning how to structure deals and negotiate and do all kinds of crazy things because, they're going to lose their patience and leave. Right. We have to give them wins quick. The way that we do that is, okay, your emphasis, your win, your close is going to be setting the appointment.
Do they get paid for a set appointment? No,
they
get an
paid.
attaboy. What do they get?
Yeah, they get a $3,000 check when we close the deal. Yeah, when we close the deal. And people that have been with us for a while, then we'll put them on a payroll, right? And then you're talking base salary, $3,000, $4,000 plus the $3,000 commission per deal, right? And then as they start,
I fear that people are listening to Raph and they're going to go, I'm not going to do any of these door knocking myself. I'll just go recruit people to door knock. Would you go that route?
Don't do it.
Why not?
No, because
Pace did that. Pace, you ran door knocking teams, right? What was your experience?
It was the best deal flow I've ever had in my life. We did it for 2017, 18, 19, and first couple of months of 20. And then COVID hit and we shut our team off. I should have never shut it off, but you are not a door knocking team. You are a recruiting team.
Exactly.
For every so the way we would do it is every Friday we would do a preview dinner at my office. So preview dinner meaning like, hey, everybody come over here. We got a taco truck. We're going to show you the opportunity of door knocking. We tell everybody how bad it is, how hard it is, but how much money you can make. And then we have one of our door knockers there to say, yeah, I make $12,000 a month. Here's what I do, blah, blah, blah. And we'd pay him like $500 a month to show up to the Friday preview dinner. All of these people came from Craigslist. Like 90% of them came from Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or other places like that, Facebook groups, etc. Sometimes referrals, but for the most part, not. And then whoever stuck around would show up Saturday. And what we would do is we'd train for an hour and then take them out in groups, and we would show them how to set an appointment, because just like Raphael said, their job is to not close a deal. Their job is to set appointments for you.
Yeah.
And our numbers back in the day, technology is a lot better. But for every 10 people that show up to your preview dinner, 3 people will actually show up the next day. Mm-hmm. And for every 3 people that show up on Saturday, 1 person will make it on Monday. So, in order for you to keep 1 person on the team, you got to get 10 people to show up to your dinner. So like Raphael's saying, do not go out and try and recruit. Just go do the door knocking to go make the money, because the recruiting is another skill and it requires systems and processes and all those types of things.
Right. And I think, to your point, right, it requires an understanding what you're going to deal with, because we have never done it. And then we're trying to train people on it. We don't know, like, if you have never knocked a door and you're trying to show somebody else how to do it, you haven't felt the rejection. You haven't put yourself in their shoes.
Did you door knock for a while?
Yeah.
How long did you door knock before you decided to go the route of recruiting?
I went about 8 months door knocking. This was back in 2014. And then I started closing deals with Sean Terry and
yeah.
So that was the lifeline, right?
Understood.
Like, all right, cool. And so I got it done at that point. And even now with the team, when we're training, when we're showing them, walking them through the process, I have absolutely no objection going, digging into it, going through the trench, right? It's a means to the training too. But again, you have to understand what they're going through. It's like when people get demoralized and people get, offended and sad and they want to quit in day 2, it's not about, all right, go away. Right. It's listen, this is, do you feel like this is in alignment with what you want to do? Yes, it's in my heart and I feel it. I really want to learn. I want to go, through it. And sometimes people just need that push. I know, because I've had that happen with a few of the team members, right? Where they just go through that push over the first couple of weeks and then just like, they start setting up appointments and, different story.
I think it is the lowest barrier to entry, massive imperfect action you can take in real estate, right? You can literally go out, hopefully when the sun's up tomorrow, and hopefully it's not snowing too crazy in some areas. And you could go out and you can go and knock on a door and have a conversation with the property owner instantly, that fast.
Now, I know
You
there's
know what I
somebody
mean?
watching this right now. Yeah, but I'm not going to get the county list that Raphael's talking about because I'm not, I don't know how to do that. And that means that guys like Raphael's team are getting it 5 days before me. Can you break down that process for people so that they're not sitting here with an excuse in their hand?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying
let's do a little
right now,
blueprint.
go
Let's
knock on a
make
door that's ugly. Go knock on a house that's ugly.
Just rando?
Yeah. Just go knock on a door that's in rough shape. You don't even need a cell phone for this. You don't even need a car for this. You can get a bicycle. You could use your strong.
There's a
two
guy
legs.
on my street. I
You
can't wait till he sells.
Right?
I mean, I'll pay somebody to come knock on this guy's door every day.
I would rather somebody go out.
We got a volunteer right there. Look.
Go out with no budget, no experience, and just go knock on the door of somebody that has an ugly house, and they don't answer. You knock the 2 on the sides of them and the 3 across the street. This is exactly how I started everything.
Are they ugly too?
No. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter because you want to get the scoop. The neighbors know the scoop. If it looks like it's a vacant house, if it looks like it's like a hoarder house, if it looks like it's crazy, you go and talk to the neighbors and say, hey, I'd like to buy that house right there. Can you tell me about it? And then they tell you everything about it. And then you move down the street. This is exactly what it is. 2008, foreclosed on 4 properties. Had terrible credit, the worst credit that you can get, whatever the lowest is, 50 points below that. That's where I was at. And I would just go into a neighborhood or walk into a neighborhood and just start knocking on doors of properties that look like they need some love. And eventually I got a deal, and then another deal, and then another deal, and then another deal. And then before that, the only reason I was doing this, Jamil, and had the confidence to do this is because before 2008 and that whole mess happened, I was business partners with Isi and Talima, and they were Tongan and Samoan. And Isi's cousins were these big Tongan guys, and they would go door knocking pre-foreclosures. And we were doing a tremendous amount of deals. The only problem was equity went in 2009, 2010, so it didn't really make sense anymore. But I remember them going out, and what you were saying before, they had the energy.
Mm-hmm.
These were big dudes. These were dentist looking, like meaty dudes, right? But everybody loved them because of the energy that they brought. And you just go out into the neighborhood and have a good conversation, and that's how you get started. I mean, I would rather somebody just do that than download all the scripts, download all the apps, go and get all the contracts, do all that other stuff. You go find somebody that wants to sell an ugly house and just go into any Facebook group and say, hey, listen, can somebody help me buy this ugly house? You will have plenty of people lined up. It's that simple.
Now his guys are going and setting appointments.
Right.
And Pace went to set appointments. Pace was setting appointments. That's funny. But
hey, I'm just giving you guys the 2 websites that you can get the foreclosures for free: Zone.com and USALegalNotices.com. These are free. They're basically aggregating all the foreclosure notices nationwide. So if you guys are like, I don't want to go down to the county courthouses, this is what we've been using for years to avoid all that BS. This will shorten your learning curve, and it's completely free. And I know how people are on YouTube. They love that free shit, you know what I'm saying?
Nice. Thank you for that. That's a great resource. Now you're gonna, if you're knocking yourself, are you pitching at the door, or do you set an appointment for somebody else? If you're a solopreneur, you're pitching at the door.
You're pitching at the door.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so if you're knocking yourself, you're pitching. You may not have all the data, all the numbers, and everything, but you're securing that next conversation, right? And then you're coming back into it. So here's a little framework, right? If you're getting started or getting into this, and you need to find your next deal source and what to do about it. This is how we do. Is that a question coming up or?
No, that's not
okay. All right, so this is how you do it, or how I would go about it. Right now, you can use Pace. Are they in nationwide, or are those websites nationwide as well?
Yes, sir. These are nationwide.
Okay, that's awesome. That's epic. So do they have phone numbers and info?
That you just go to truepeoplesearch.com if you're somebody free on YouTube and you decide. People on YouTube, what I've found is they hate to pay for everything, including their own food for their own family. So I've just decided just give everything to everybody for free, and then they'll still find some reason to hate you. So
That's what we call it, YouTube University. Yeah.
Yeah. Zoom and Zoom.com and USALegalNotices.com are free and they're nationwide. And if you don't get the phone numbers, just go to truepeoplesearch.com.
Guys, if you're not taking notes, I would jot those down. And then this is how I go about it, right? So if you're looking to find your first deal, get your first, I guess, contract through the door, do this. Okay, so first off, start either with the websites or go to the county, Google how to, where to get my foreclosure list in whatever city that you're in. They'll have them posted up. So what you're going to do is you're going to compile 25 addresses and you're going to create a route. Okay, don't do less than 25 because then you're just wasting your time. This is a volume.
So
game.
less than 25 addresses a day?
Yeah.
And you're going to knock all 25 in a day?
You're going to go knock 25 doors on the following day.
How long does that take in a day?
4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a crazy, far-fetched, type of goal, right? Even if you have a full-time job, you can squeeze, a couple of hours of door knocking in there. But pull a list, pull the addresses of people that are in distress. If you want to get a little bit more technical, you can.
Any drivers in the chat? Uber drivers, Amazon drivers, Door Dashers. If you're a driver in the chat, right? Driver, you have just what you just learned here was what you can do on your routes. Like if you're like, hey, I'm gonna go drive for 8 hours today.
Yeah.
Before you leave the house, you can go to that website that Pace gave us. You go figure it out, get the addresses, and then
pick 25.
Pick 25 of them that make sense for where you're gonna be hanging out that day, and then go get it done.
Yeah, if you're driving out there anyways and not doing this, you're sleeping on your own dream. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So do that, right? Set up the 25 routes, and then again, go up to the door. If you guys want the conversation, shoot me a DM on Instagram or and I'll send you guys the script. Right? It's not complicated. It's a one pager, but it's an opener, right? So now I get it. You may not have all the ways of structuring deals and being creative about that. You can always reach out to the community, right? There's 300 people and 434 people right now in the chat that can help you get stuff done, right? Think who, not how. Your job is to source it. Once you source it, there's going to be more than plenty of people to come by that are going to help you close that deal, right? So this is for getting to your first signature, getting the ink, right? Getting it structured, partner up with somebody else, borrow the knowledge. So go through that, hit 25 doors. The stats or the metrics or the KPIs that we usually run off is we'll try to hit 25 doors. About between 12 and 15 we'll show some sign of life. They'll open the door to do something like that.
Half?
Yeah, about half we'll have we'll some sign of life. And then
do you knock or ring your doorbell?
I mean, get them to open the door. Doorbell, knock. I mean, dance in front of the door if you have to. Like whatever you got to do. Just get them to open the door.
Ring the doorbell, nothing, knock, nothing, ring the doorbell.
And don't be creepy. Like, don't be looking through the windows and stuff like that. Just, knock in a very
do you step back
confident way. Yes. And then step back. And then step back and then show your hands. Just,
So cop knock, knock, step back.
Yeah.
And then wait.
And then act like a human being. So you're just, stepping back, waiting for them to open the door, right? They are going to be getting hit by everybody and their mom when it comes to oh, do you want to sell your house and everything? But nobody's showing up. I guarantee you there's not going to be more than maybe 3 people, if anything, if that. Even on congested markets, I mean, just door knocking is not a thing. People are afraid of it. I don't know why.
It's hard.
The less you guys do it, the more deals we get. So, but anyways, do that and just consider, right? You're going to get, 50% are going to open the door. And then out of those 50%, maybe, or, those 12 or 15 people, maybe 3 are going to have a conversation with you. So if you're able to set one appointment a day, which is usually what we aim for, you're winning, right? And but don't come the next week and say that you knocked 25 doors the entire week and you don't have anything on the pipeline. It's a volume game. You have to put in the effort, but it's doable. Pace is giving you guys the list right now. That's right there. I mean, there's data to be pulled. If you go straight to the county,
so give us more KPIs. Give us more KPIs. People love KPIs because it gives them a framework on how to operate, right? So 25 doors a day, 5 or 7 days a week. Can you knock on a Sunday?
We don't.
Okay. Do you knock on a Saturday?
Yeah, we do Saturdays.
Okay, so 6 days a week, 25 doors, right? If you did that for 4 weeks straight, can you get a deal?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
how many deals could you
you'll
get?
find. I mean, I'm telling you. So okay, so to break it down, and skill set is gonna roll into this, right? But we were running the first time I ran the cycle of the KPIs. We're looking at 15 appointments. So for 15 doors that answered, we usually ended up with between 4 and 7 conversations and 1 lead, right? Now you need, in terms of leads, I think the count was we were converting 11. 1 out of 11 leads we were converting into
1 out of 11 appointments set
into a contract.
Guys, you can upload a list into Deal Machine. It'll give you a route. It'll show you the best route to go. It'll do all that stuff.
So he just said 25 doors a day. That'll give you 1 lead, 1 or 2 leads.
Yeah, 1 or 2 leads.
Okay.
Are you filtering by equity, by the way?
Yeah, we do cross-reference the equity.
So
So
talk about
every
that.
11 days door knocking, you can get a deal.
Is that the math?
Well,
Yeah,
if you're getting 1 lead a day,
oh yeah,
every 10 to
So
11
that
days you're getting a
means-
contract. That means you can
means-
get 2 to 3 deals a month.
That means that you knocked on 25 times
Without
11
a
doors, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
If you go every day and knock 25 doors of pre-foreclosures every day, inevitable.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Pace, you want to do that with me? Let's arm up with body cam and let's want to go knock on some doors and deliver DoorDash.
Yeah, I love door knocking. I door knocked for 2 years in Korea and sold Jesus. And then when I did foreclosure door knocking,
What was the commission on? I'm just joking.
it was
Were you
priceless.
ringing the doorbell or
In Korea, you just bang the doorbell in people's apartments for 80 stories deep. But I love door knocking. I could do door knocking all day long. I have a much higher success rate than most, and the reason being is because I love talking to people, and I'm so curious about what's going on. And I also offer them, like the last 3 deals we contracted were foreclosure deals that we offered people loans to stay in their house. I'm doing a lot of that. So when we text people and nobody else is willing to do what we do, I've got a deal in Lake Havasu right now where I offered to give the guy a loan, and I ended up just buying the house from him and then leasing it back to him. And he's buying it back for me, and I think we're closing in 20 days. And I'm making $151,000.
My goodness.
Yeah. And then I just closed one the other day, $18,000, with the lady. She was in foreclosure, listed on the market. And I said, let me keep you out of foreclosure so you can get a higher dollar amount. And we gave her a loan. So those types of like seller testimonials, I'll text those to people in foreclosure that say, Pace actually gave me a loan to stay in my house. You should listen to him over anybody else. Our success rate is so freaking high. It's ridiculous. Knocking foreclosures is the greatest thing on the planet.
and also understand, guys, right? Like the problems are bigger. So the spreads are going to be, for the most part, there's going to be bigger numbers in the foreclosure space.
What's the average deal size on a pre-foreclosure lead?
Much higher.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. On straight up wholesale deals, I think we're at 28,000 per deal.
Jeez, Louise,
And,
that's like two. That's like 2 of our deals, right?
And
your average is what, 15-ish, 10, 15? Yeah, so that's like anywhere between 2 and 3 regular deals.
yeah, and then foreclosure deals tend to be even higher than that. I mean, you're looking 40s, 50s, at the very least, somewhere in there. And yeah, don't get me wrong. Like sometimes you get smaller deals, but
I mean,
it's just-
you
and
can
they take
legit
longer.
carve out $100,000 a month game for yourself just by doing what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And getting off the couch and getting out into the world, going to MapQuest, making a route. Do that while you're door dashing or Ubering. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like if you're out in the world anyways, doing this for $6 rides.
Yeah.
Why
already out
wouldn't
there.
you? Why
You're already out there.
wouldn't you knock on the
Yeah.
door?
Alicia
It's not as
Alba,
scary as people think.
Jessica Alba's sister asks, I can't offer loans. Can we share those leads with you? Yeah. Email money@pacemorby.com. I do all types of loans. If you find a seller that's in foreclosure, I will call the seller. I will structure the deal with them. I will do all the paperwork. I will do the deal for you. And so the $18,000 deal I just closed is in North Carolina. It came from a real estate agent named Victoria. And Victoria made $5,000 of my $18,000. So I paid her a $5,000 fee and I netted 13. So I'll do the same thing for you. If you go out and find these leads, I will help people stay in their home so they can sell their house like through a real estate agent and keep most of their equity. And I'll make typically more money on lending a seller money than I will wholesaling a deal, is what I've found. So if you find those leads,
Can you walk through that, Pace? How do you make more money lending to them?
Oh yeah. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Are you ready for me to hurt some feelings for wholesalers for a second?
I mean, bro, if there's a better opportunity out there, then of course we need to know it.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll kind of whiteboard it for a second. So there's those websites for everybody, just FYI. Here's how this works. Okay. So I have a seller. This is a specific deal I just did. Here, I'll keep you guys up on the screen too. I don't want to just hog the thing. You guys are
money@pacemorby.com, guys. He's put that website up like 6 times. Come on, folks, just screenshot it.
Money@pacemorby.com. What's the website for Pace? The website for Pace is, dang it, where'd those go? Right here. Guys, take a screenshot
That's
of this.
what I'm talking to.
You freaking knuckleheads. Holy moly, guys. These are the websites you get free foreclosure data free. Okay. All right. So let's go through this deal. So this is a deal in North Carolina. The seller's name is Joy. Joy's living in the home. She hires a real estate agent named Devonte. Devonte has no idea that she's in foreclosure until he goes and lists the property on the MLS. He goes and puts on the MLS. He finds out, holy smoly, Joy is in foreclosure. She's behind 14 months. She needs somebody to catch her up. Otherwise, the house is going to get lost during his listing. So I come along and I go, okay, well, what's going on? Actually, Jamil.
I remember this.
Yes, you were with me live when I structured
Penn
this
State,
deal.
when you had, bro, that was an incredible conversation.
Yeah, if you guys want a copy of the recording, go to a Subto member. I released the whole entire recording to the Subto community. Jamil and I were actually presenting live to Penn State. We were teaching a class at Penn State as a Subto Astro member. Her name is Mallory Meehan at Penn State. She's the head professor of real estate at Penn State. She asked us to come out. We go out there every year and we teach their graduating class for a whole day. And so I got a lead. I didn't know the direction I was going to take it, but I got a lead from a real estate agent named Victoria. And I did this on a live Zoom. So every student at Penn State in the real estate program could watch me go through a foreclosure seller, give them a cash offer, give them a Subto offer, and give them a novation offer. Okay. You guys want to be in a red ocean? Go cash offer. Everybody's doing cash offers. No offense. Cash offers work. They're great, but it's a red ocean. You want to be in a blue ocean? Do Subto and novation. I don't really like novations. This is actually what I think about novations, just FYI. Okay. I think they're unsafe. I think it's just better to do an executive.
And just briefly describe what a novation is.
A novation is basically a partnership with the seller, where the seller lets you list the property on the MLS and give them a guaranteed number. You have no ownership. You have very little control. The seller could change their mind. You have to sue the seller. It's not fun. Go watch my YouTube channel, Why I Don't Like Novations Agreement. There's better ways to do the same type of transaction. Just protect yourself. Anyway, so as I go through the deal, this is how I think. I'm thinking, how do I give the seller as much money as humanly possible? That's our job. My job is to give the seller as much money as possible. So she owes on her house, as I am talking to her, she owes $260,000 on her mortgage. The house is currently listed for $440,000. And it actually is truly worth that. That is the actual ARV. It's just that days on market, kind of end of the year, this was like November timeframe. Days on market were high, and so they were stressing out that they weren't going to be able to sell the house for $440,000. So when you're on the market and you're in foreclosure, everybody can see that you're in foreclosure. So that is a bad look on your listing. So onlooking buyers that are going to send you an offer are going to lowball you, and you're going to miss out on a lot of your equity, which is exactly what you freaking need when you're in foreclosure. Is you need as much of your equity to rebuild your life as possible. And so after being a wholesaler for the last 12 years, I've found that the majority of the people that are in foreclosure that I did deals with, I could have given them a loan and helped them sell their house on the retail market, and I would have made more money if I did it that way than if I just wholesaled the deal. And I'm about to walk through this with you. But as I was breaking down this deal, Jamil watched me do it live. So you guys know I'm not full of crap.
It was great. I mean, and he was walking her through like, this is better for me. It's not better for you. This is where you're going to have a better situation. And when he said to her, I can loan you the money, there's very few times where you're in a real estate conversation where somebody's brought to tears on the other side and just is like, because they're like, why are you helping me? Meanwhile, he's going to make $18,000 on the situation, right? So it's like, anyhow, continue, Pace.
Okay, so what I did is I walked through their options, right? I've done a couple of good YouTube videos with Brent on his channel. Actually, Brent has a really good video on his channel called Pre-Foreclosure Mastery that him and I did probably 5 years ago when I was running a door knocking team back in COVID days. And I walk through the 7 options I give a seller. And the first option is actually a loan, is the first option I give them. And the reason being is even though less than half of the sellers go for it, it gets 100% of their attention because nobody else is offering it. It's literally a clear ocean. It's not even blue. It is a clear ocean. Literally nobody's doing it. And so what I do usually is I'll go through and I'll give them that option. So in these options, this is what I gave to Joy. I said, Joy, option 1, people are going to give you cash. The problem is your house is worth $440. Okay. Your house is worth $440. In order for me to make money on a cash offer, I've got to give you like maybe $290 to like $325, somewhere in there to make this work. And then I turn around and I'm going to wholesale it, and I'm going to wholesale it for 15 grand probably. And she's like, oh yeah, that's where like all of our cash offers are coming in. How did you know? I'm like, because they're trying to buy it at a price that they can afford to wholesale it. And that's a good option for somebody who needs speed and convenience, but that's not necessarily what you need. You need time to sell your house on the retail market because you're already actively selling on the retail market. You just need a breathing room, right? So what we did is I went through the cash. I said, not a good option for you because you're going to lose on a lot of your equity. That's not a good option for you. Option 2 was Subto. I said, that's a great option for me, not a great option for you. Option 3 is Innovation. I think they're stupid for everybody, but let's just X out of that entirely. And I said, I think you should go with option 4, which is I give you a loan. And nobody in that room at Penn State was planning on me saying this. And I said, how much, this is what's so great about this call. If you guys want this call, if you're in Subto, go into the Subto Facebook group and go watch this call. It's a 45-minute masterclass on how to talk to a seller and get them to tell you all of their problems. I go, Joy, if you're behind on your payments, I'm sure you are struggling with, filling the fridge. I'm sure you probably have a hard time paying for gas. Maybe you've even had your car repossessed. And she's like, oh my gosh, I had my car repossessed yesterday. How did you know? Yeah. Like, because I do this for a living. I know the patterns. I know what you're going through. I then said, I bet you don't have any real money in your bank account. She's like, I have literally 91 cents in my bank account and I can't afford food. People have been driving and giving me food. I go, how about I just give you a loan? And here's what I'll do. I'll catch up your arrears. So I'll save your credit. That will help Devontae, the seller, the agent, the listing agent, sell your property at its highest possible value. I'll make 3 months of payments ahead of time. I will buy you a car. I'll put cash in your pocket, pay for insurance, and make sure that you're taken care of so that you can sell the house and get all of your equity. And she's like, how are you going to make money? I go, I'm going to give you a loan for 40, and then you're going to pay me back 60. She ended up paying me back 58 because I had some TC fees. I should have charged her. I forgot to charge the TC fee, so it came out of my $20,000 fee. The reason I made more money is because if I gave her a cash offer, one, that's not what she needed. I would not have got it under contract at all. They would have gambled on the listing and they might have lost it to foreclosure. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even in the running. And that's the problem with a cash offer a lot of times is that it doesn't appeal to what they actually need in that moment. It might be what they need in 30 days, but they'll avoid it. And if they avoid it and they think
especially if the house is in retail condition and can be sold on the open market, I mean, yeah.
Which is a good portion of them. I'd say 20, 30% of these sellers are like, they just got in a bad situation. Joy got laid off 6 months prior. Jamil, you remember the call.
I do.
By the way, since that call, just to catch you up to speed, I closed on that deal and I took her deed as safety. Okay, so she.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about security because he did disclose to her. Now, Joy, I want you to know that when I loan to own. So understand that the way this loan is going to be structured is I'm going to have security. The reality is that you owe a lot of people money and you haven't paid them back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that in mind, I have to make sure that when I do give you this money, that I'm going to be okay. So how did you securitize it?
I took the deed.
Okay.
Which means I didn't record the deed. I know this is a whole conversation about title and deed and all that kind of stuff, which I love talking about on my YouTube channel. But I took the deed, which means I own the property. I didn't own it on public record. I didn't take the deed and record it.
Agreement for sale, or how did you do that?
We did that through a Subto transaction, which in state of North Carolina is a contract for deed if I don't record the deed. So it's just a contract for deed.
Understood. Yep.
So I did a contract for deed. I held the deed. She had already signed off on it, had it notarized at a title company. I also placed a lien against the property in a deed of trust and a promissory note.
In the third or second position.
In second lien position behind her first lien position lender. Okay. I also got a personal guarantee from her so I could follow her for the rest of her life, even though I don't need to. Right? I just did it to protect myself. The car that we bought her, this is what's great about being in the Subto community is that I just called a Subto member. I wired them the money. They bought the car for her. So I never had to give her any cash in her pocket. The Subto member held the title on the vehicle until she paid me back. So I technically own the vehicle until she paid me my money back. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So full protection. I think Kelly was involved. Kelly Humbarger is one of my transaction coordinators full-time on my team. She's in the comments a lot. She shows up a lot. She's awesome. She also was the transaction coordinator on the foreclosure seller that I made $151,000 on. She was just texting me about it a couple minutes ago. So I, of course, use a top tier transaction coordinator hired and trained by Molly, my operations manager. They know what they're doing, obviously. And this took her house out of foreclosure, fixed her credit. Okay. If you're a seller, would you rather sell your house while it's in foreclosure? Or would you rather catch up your arrears, get it back in good standing, get a couple of good months paid, and then sell it? Which one's better for your credit?
B.
What was she behind? How much was the total she was behind?
$26,000 is what I caught up on her mortgage. I paid for a $7,000 car out of that. I paid for a couple of months of $1,500 for like groceries and stuff like that. And I got her back on her feet with some making a couple of months of payments. It was all in all, my wire I sent out was like $39,800 to title.
God, payments used to be awesome back in the day, right? Those low interest. 14 months she didn't pay, and it was only 26 grand with penalties.
Yeah, she had a 2.9% rate on her loan.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of equity on the deal. So I knew that if they defaulted, I knew that if they took advantage of me, I already had the deed. I owned the property, so I could just evict her at this point. It's not a foreclosure. I would evict her. So I do these deals all the time. In fact, I look at that. I'm like, dude, I make $100,000 a month just by keeping people in their house. So if you guys are out there door knocking or dealing with foreclosures, you guys know Spencer Caldwell. Yep. He comes to me when he wants to keep his sellers in the house. I will give his sellers a loan and restructure their foreclosure, get them out of debt. I take the deed to protect myself, and I give them a time frame. And of course, I'm making money, but I'm giving them, in my opinion, the best possible option from time to time. The sellers are like, dude, no, I just want to sell my house on the retail market. It's ready to go. I just dug my head in the sand, and now I'm about to lose my house because I was making stupid decisions. How many times have we wholesaled a house that was retail ready and we made 15 grand, and the person that went and flipped it made 80 grand, when if the person in foreclosure, if they were just given 60 more days to sell it on the market, they could have kept that money.
Right.
Pace, do you only do that with properties that are going on the MLS?
Yeah. If somebody's on if it's a foreclosure that's in MLS, that's when I will reach out to the agent and say, hey, I can make your listing look a lot more appealing. That doesn't look like it's in foreclosure.
Yeah.
I will give them a loan for a short time frame, but I give loans to sellers individually that are like, I need 2 years. Like I've got a seller right now that I did a Zoom with last night. His name's Jordan. Jordan wants to stay in the house. And he says, I just landed a new job, $250,000 a year. I got laid off last year with like the weird economy that was going on, and I fell behind. I need to catch up, and I can start making payments to you. I go, no problem. Let me have the deed. So I take the deed. I give him a personal loan. So I own the house. I lien the property in second lien position as a second form of protection. And then in third protection, I get a personal guarantee as well. So I own the house. And these houses have equity to protect me. So if I have to, I evict them and I sell the house on the market. And I make a lot more money this way, actually, in a lot of ways.
And she paid it off?
Yeah, I got paid. That was September. I wired the money in October, and I just got paid the first week of January. So yeah, it took 3 months or so to make that 13. My net was 13, but the agent who was involved in it got $5,000. So it was a $18,000 profit. $5,000 went to the referring person.
Did she sell it or did she refinance? How'd she come up?
He sold it on the retail market. Devontae, the seller's agent that I talked about.
Did Devontae get the $5,000 or did somebody else get the $5,000?
Somebody else got the $5,000.
Let me ask you this, Pace. The newest thing is find people that don't have equity, have them deed you over the house to you, negotiate a short sale.
Well, I think for him, her deeding the house to him was better because she owed $269. So there was equity there.
Oh yeah,
right?
No. I'm going on what's hot now.
Okay.
What's hot now is if you have a lead that doesn't have equity, but they're motivated to sell, have them deed the house to you, have a professional company negotiate a short sale to build equity, close on the house, and then clean it up a little bit, put it back on the MLS. And
I will never do anything with short sales just because I'm afraid of, I know so many people gone to prison. I stay away from short sales.
I agree, but I mean, is it just basically the disclosure after the short sale's done, or the
I don't know, bro.
The payoff statement stuff? I know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but the thing that would,
because a lot of my students are now asking about this strategy. Sure. I'm telling them I wouldn't touch any short sales with a 50-foot pole.
I think that's the move, honestly.
Because who's losing there?
It's the federal government
and the federal guy, and they're insured by who?
The federal government.
And then you go and make a profit.
Yeah. You see who's.
Yeah, I stay away from anything short sale related. I stay away from it. I also will not take a deed on a property. So I call the thing that we're talking about here is the blow method. I call it is buy.
That's what people are calling it. It's called a reverse flip. That's right. It's not a safe thing. How many people do we know that have gone to prison from 2008 to now, right, because of the short sale negotiation stuff?
I personally know 4.
Look at who just got indicted.
I know.
For just, I mean, obviously that was some shenanigans with the paperwork, but.
Yeah, Luis Lacayo says, Brent, that's not what Pace did. Brent knows that, Luis.
No, I know, Luis.
Yeah,
no. I know that. I'm just saying I have been hearing more about reverse flips, and I'm like, what is a reverse flip? What is a reverse? I don't even know. I mean, I
think the like where does it get sketchy at the deed when they deed the house over? Is that the sketchy part?
Here's the sketchy part of a short sale. Just FYI, guys, I've had multiple attorneys come into my community and talk about this stuff. Sean Clemenson, whole bunch of people. The greatest short sale negotiator on the planet is in one of the biggest Subto community members, Matthew Potter. He's unbelievable. We should have him come back on Wholesale Hotline.
We need him on here.
I think he's done over 25,000 short sales now.
Yep.
The problem comes in a short sale negotiation when the person who's working with the bank knows who the buyer is going to be. When you are preemptively planning on selling it to a person and you're using documents to basically hide who the buyer is going to be, or some shenanigans to hide who the buyer is going to be, you are not allowed to do that.
Or postpone it in order to do that, right?
The way a short sale is supposed to work is it's supposed to go on the retail market to attract the highest and best bidder. And what happens with people that are doing short sales illegally is they pretend like they've done that. They act as if they've done that. And they just bring their own buyer to the bank and go, this is the best buyer I can find, bank. There's no best buyer other than this buyer. And so they have an agreement with that buyer through a reverse flip. Guys, it's stay away from that as much as possible. The only thing I've ever seen anybody in real estate go to prison for is doing anything with short sales.
Yep. And
He's
sorry,
right.
I interrupted there. Jeffrey's putting us back on track here. Finish, please. I won't take the deed to any house blank.
I won't take the deed to any house unless I plan on owning and keeping the house.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not doing some little thing like I'm not playing shenanigans. I touch deeds when I know I would actually keep the house in my pocket. So for those of you guys who are out there doing what Rafael Cortez is teaching, let me just be an additional tool for you. I will lend on your foreclosure sellers because I've just learned mathematically that more than half of the deals I've ever done as a cash wholesaler, I should not have done a cash wholesale deal. What I did is I left the majority of the money for the fix and flipper, which kudos to them. I'm glad they made a bunch of money, but I took it out of the seller's pocket when I could have just really, like, think about Devontae, the seller's agent in this situation with Joy. Okay. I almost want to do a screen share and show you guys this testimonial that I just got from Devontae and Joy. I'll pull it up. You guys can see this. I just got it 2 days ago, and it was me asking them questions. How was it working with me and my team? All of that kind of stuff. Devontae's like, dude, as an agent, you made me look like a superhero. You got my seller all of their equity minus the 18 grand they gave you. You deserve the 18 grand because we sold the house higher than I would have, knowing that it was in foreclosure prior. I would have been continually getting lowballed. And the other thing is when a house is in foreclosure, I don't know about you guys, but there's a scarlet letter that gets put on that house of like, what's wrong with the house? What's wrong with the seller?
You think I'm gonna offer what they owe?
Yeah,
Right.
that also they're like, what's wrong with the person? You know, if the person's in this kind of a situation, what's the condition of the house?
They're motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people assume that when somebody's in foreclosure that their house is covered in roaches and it's a cat house and a hoarder house. And so they assume, oh, scarlet letter of foreclosure is sitting on the MLS on this listing. They will typically, on average, the average thing, the stat that you look at when you're on like foreclosure.com and all these other places, you look at the statistic when somebody's in active foreclosure versus a neighbor who's in the exact same condition, the person in active foreclosure will get about 7% less on their listing than the person who's not, just because of the stigma that's attached to the fact that the house is in foreclosure. So me coming in and saving the situation, lending the money and making sure that I get paid when they finally sell the house, I get them a higher price usually. I also get the seller more money in their pocket, which at the end of the day is what we do as businessmen, is that we help sellers. I'm sorry to tell everybody, my job is to not help fix and flippers. My job actually is to help the seller first. And then if there's money left over, hopefully it's a deal for a fix and flipper. So I'm usually looking at every deal like, how can I help the seller sell for the highest possible price? And at the same time, for me, have the least amount of competition. Bro, nobody competes with me on these deals. Nobody.
What do you think? What do you think is the right amount of equity that they have to have pace for that type of situation? You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'll come up with a spreadsheet for this. I don't currently have this, but I look, because I'm the only one doing it, and I teach obviously the Subto community to do this as well. Because I'm really the only one that I ever run into that does this, I'm usually just doing it case by case basis, and I look at what's the mortgage payment, what's the rent I could take, worst case scenario, like this deal I did where I'm making 150 grand on. I always look at the worst case scenario, how much I'm willing to lend, knowing I have to take the house back, evict the person, make a couple months of payments, clean the property back up, and then list it back on the market to get my money back plus 10%. That's how much equity it needs to have for me to do those significant types of loans. Now, however, I also do loans with people with zero equity. Okay. But in those situations, I'm looking at it saying, okay, your interest rate's phenomenal. Your payment is really low. If I give you a loan and you don't perform, I'm the owner of the property now. I'm going to evict you based on our agreement. And I'm just going to turn around and turn this into a co-living property or a single family rental of some sort. So I know how to get my money back every single time. Now, is this a beginner strategy? Yes. Just bring the deal to me. And that's how you, as a beginner, just bring me the lead. Now, every deal is a beginner lead. Just bring that shit to me.
Who, not how.
Yeah. Go to bringthatshittopace.com and I will close that shit.
That's
okay.
great.
So if you guys run into these situations, just email money@pacemorby.com. And my team, I have a full-time girl named Heather that manages this whole entire part of my business. And we help so many people that are out door knocking, because door knocking, by far, if you want a guaranteed way to get a deal and you actually want to go find the deal, here's the easiest way to get a deal. Buy a deal from somebody who already has a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Outside of that, you want to be the procuring cause, meaning you want to be the person that created the deal. By far, the most guaranteed way for you to get a deal, knocking foreclosures. By far, you knock 100 doors 3 times, meaning you knock the same 100 doors 3 times, and you can't get a deal. It's because you didn't knock any doors. That's the only way you didn't get a deal.
Man, we get that all the time, right? We'll go back to the drawing board when somebody hasn't gotten a deal in a week, 2 weeks, and whatnot, or at least a conversation or a signature on a commitment, call it. And it's like, how many doors did you knock? Well, I mean, I did 7 last week, and then the week before I did another 8. It's
like,
you have to rack them up.
You mean in an hour?
Yeah. Were you sleeping the rest of the week? Like, what was going on?
So do you monitor these guys? Like, how do you know that the people that you're hiring are out there doing the job?
No. So what we do is we create areas. So for example, here in Maricopa County, right, we have different areas, and we'll rotate through the areas. And, if a lead pops up in a certain area, there'll be there's going to be somebody running or dedicated to that area, right? So they run that lead with it. And at the end of the day, we track metrics, we track KPIs, but we're a results driven business. So we can have all the vanity numbers that we want, all the doors knocked and everything. But if there's no leads, no contracts, I mean, there's something off there, right? So I mean, we push, hard.
Is there a do not call version for door knocking?
Not on the door knocking side.
If they have a no soliciting sign on the door, is it illegal if you go to that door?
No, because you're not soliciting. You are there to buy something from them. You are not there to sell anything. You are not selling solar. You're not selling insurance. You're not selling Jesus. You are buying a product from them.
But is there like a national registry that you could put your house on so people can't knock on your door?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think it's don'ttouchmyknockers.com.
Don't touch Pace's knockers.
Don't sell shit to Pace.com. That's the one. But yeah, that's the website, right? It's the what?
We got a question from the audience.
Oh, go ahead.
Quick question. So with your door knocking strategy, would you say your biggest positives why people go with you is the fact that you're quick with it, and it's also that you guys do physically go and knock on the doors?
Is speed and physically going to the
So let's repeat the question for the folks that couldn't hear that. So Slater in the audience asked, what do you think the reason for your success is, Raphael? He said, do you think it's the speed at which you guys are getting to the lead and that you physically knock on the door?
It is. It's the combination of the two. And interesting fact is that right during the most contacts or most fulfillment happens within the first 2 weeks of them getting service, or within 2 weeks from the foreclosure date. So it's when the highest, the stress levels are the highest. So it's usually when we have the biggest impact. Now for the first 2 weeks, I mean, we had a 5-day period when we became their guy or their gal. Right, like we're their person at that point, and they're just referring back to us. I mean, there's gonna be, and we let them know there's gonna be, there are people calling and doing this and that. We just understand that we have some options. We're here because we care. We're here because it matters to us, and there's always a way to find a win-win, right? But you have to show up, and I think that's the thing. I mean, if you're just calling foreclosure leads, it's I mean, everybody else is doing the same thing. So like Pace said earlier, right, it's an absolutely red space. The way that you can make it and a little bit friendlier and have that competitive edge is to actually show up at the door with them. Yeah.
Now
Right.
you show up at the door and offer them a loan the way Pace is doing it. You're literally just taking candy from a baby.
No, well, I mean, how can they say no?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
say no. I say no usually to them. The main thing is like, how do I get into the living room, right? What Rafael Cortez is talking about is he's saying the main thing is get the appointment. Once you get in front of their face and they can see that you're a real person. So that's why he trains his team to go out and set appointments, not close deals. So all his whole goal is, which is smart, is just get Rafael's face in front of the seller so they know, oh, it's not the bank that's trying to, get me to talk to them. It's not my child support that I'm behind on. It's not the HOA president pretending to be somebody to buy my house. It truly is a human being that wants to be here to help me. And then when they see your mannerisms and how you show up in your energy, right? Rafael talked about that earlier in the show. Your positive energy is the most important part of this. And they go, oh crap, this person's really here to help me. Getting in person is the greatest thing to turn this foreclosures is a red market. The second you add door knocking to it, it becomes a blue market because nobody will do it. What I love about door knocking is that I can almost guarantee you that nobody will do it for a week. I can almost guarantee you. Now, as a Mormon missionary, it's what I woke up and did 10, 12 hours a day, rain, sunshine, whatever was going on, in a different language, selling Jesus, holding a Korean Book of Mormon. I'm not afraid of talking to a seller that's in foreclosure. In fact, I'm like, ooh, why is this so easy, right? So for those of you guys that have no fear of getting to know new people, this is the greatest opportunity in real estate. It always will be. Rafael talked about that also. Focus on a lead strategy that will never go away. It's never going to go away. They're going to come up with TCPA laws, which means less cold calling, less text messages, robo dialing, this one-to-one stuff that's coming out, all of those things. And what's going to happen is more and more people are going to have to do PPC, PPL, okay?
Yeah.
Which is also very effective, but very expensive for people that are brand new.
Sure.
Or door knocking.
Yep.
Isn't it it's interesting how two of the most effective strategies are in the extremes, right?
Yeah.
You have inbound leads with PPC and PPL, but when you capture those, like you have to be skilled enough at that point to close them. You have to put in the reps, right? So if you're getting started, what's the best way to start practicing on the conversations, the offers? I mean, intentionally just pushing the envelope on an appointment and an offer, just even if you know you're going to get rejected, but it's a trial run. Right?
Could it be a strategy?
Improvement. Yeah.
Could it be a strategy that you go up and you say, hey, listen, I know a lot of people are coming here to talk to you about your foreclosure. I'm here to see if you need a loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you get in more door? Would you get in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you get into more doors?
Yeah. I mean,
and then you have the conversation, then you open up, you
qualify
do the discovery,
them if it's a loan,
you see if they have enough equity for that to
Yeah,
make sense.
you want to tell them, hey, I can give you a personal loan.
Right.
You want to use the word personal because if you say loan, a loan is what got them in that situation in the first place. And so they think you're a bank. But if you say, hey, I'm a concerned neighbor,
there you go.
Right. Like a lot of times on the paper plate that we'll leave, or at least I don't door knock anymore. I have people that just bring me door knocking deals. But when I teach people how to go door knock, I say, go use a paper plate, like the cheap one that your parents had you use, that if you only use one, the gravy would soak through the plate on Sunday dinner.
The ones that look like napkins?
Yeah, the ones that look like napkins. So you get the ones that you'd have to double down on or else they're flimsy. And you get a Sharpie and you go, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I'd like to give you a personal loan to get you back on your feet. Pace, phone number. Dude, they're calling you 100% of the time. I didn't say I live in the neighborhood. I said I'm in the neighborhood, which I am. And I do it on the paper plate that looks like I literally pulled it out of my cabinet. I didn't have anything to write on. And so I gave you guys psychology 101. Be the thing they don't expect, right? Be the lamb in lamb's clothing. Okay. Not the wolf in sheep's clothing, the lamb in lamb's clothing. So you do that, you now get into the living room. Once you get in the living room, 50% of the time, a loan is not a good fit for them. The best thing for them is a cash offer or a Subto offer, but the loan is what got you into the living room. And more importantly, as you go, well, hey, look, a loan is one of the options. Let's go through and explore that for sure. What happens is, We got 5 minutes left. Otherwise, I'd freaking pull some stuff up for you guys.
Will you smash this one, Pace? Because I think that this is probably on the in the minds of a lot of our audience here. Is if a seller couldn't keep up the mortgage payments and you offer them a loan, how do you expect them to pay that back? Isn't that predatory lending?
Interesting. Okay, so first and foremost, predatory lending is taking advantage of somebody that has no ability to pay it back, right? So, and also usury, like interest rates that are above the legal limit in that specific state. Every state has a different usury law. Okay, so you got to know these things, which is great. I know all of these things in all the 50 states. So again, money@pacemorby.com. I got you. Okay. So when I loan them the money, I'm not giving them a loan. Guys, you knuckleheads who cannot pay attention, that barely graduated high school. I'm one of those people. Stop thinking that I'm giving everybody a loan, you dumbass. Not you, Kafori. I'm not giving everybody a loan. The loan is how I get in the living room. 50% of the time, they're not a good fit for the loan. So what I do is I walk through and I go, okay, so you're out of work. You don't have a thing. Okay, here's the problem. The people in my family that bring the money to the table, like their criteria is we got to have a job. We got to have income coming in. We got to verify. We're not going to do a credit check. Obviously, you're in foreclosure. So we can't, that's not going to help us out, but we got to have the ability to pay. So let's explore the other options, right? So
now, would the ability to pay back also include equity in the house?
Yep, equity. Well, here's the other thing too. I have security on the house. So technically they've already paid me back. So I can release the loan and say, you've paid me the loan. I got you back on your feet. So here's the thing, guys. I don't teach this stuff on YouTube for a reason. This is black belt ninja strategy that I keep only for like my private community. Why? Because it requires hours of conversations with my attorney, Sean Clemenson or Sean St. Clair or other people that you need to be trained on what to say, when to say. This is not a layup type of strategy. Okay. When you run into a seller that I'm a good fit for, just email me, money@pacemorby.com. I'll make the majority of the money because I know what the hell I'm doing. You will make a little bit of money because you will basically do little amount of work. So if you want me to help you out in your foreclosure situations with sellers that need a loan, I got your back. Money@pacemorby.com. But yeah, the seller's not technically having to pay me back. I already own the house. I have security. I just asked them to leave through what's called a legal eviction. Our lease agreement is month to month. Pretty simple stuff. Awesome. So anyway, I wish I had 2 hours to talk about it, but I don't. I'm sorry.
What do you got going on this week? We got to go.
Yeah, we're heading off to Azria to go do a wholesaling panel. Outside of that, I got to go to LA and move out of my house so a family who's suffering right now can move in. Other than that, that's my week. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm flying out of Tampa. I won't be in on Wednesday, by the way.
Nice.
I miss you guys on Wednesday, fam. But yeah, I'm flying out of Tampa tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Yeah, we have some.
Hey, for people that are, here's what I got going on. I bought 2 deals this last week, one from Keegley, Jamil's company, and one from another wholesaler here locally in Arizona. My team, one of our businesses that I rarely.
Which one did you buy from me, by the way?
I don't know. Heidi knows.
Okay.
Thank you for working with us, by the way. I appreciate you.
Of course.
So
how did your dispo thing go, by the way?
It's great. I made 45.
Ah, my man.
That's
go ahead, Jay, sorry.
So for any of you guys that have Maricopa County cash deals, I am a buyer. I will not re-wholesale your deal. I will actually close on the deal. We are actively flipping and have been for the last several years, but we're amplifying this year. We'll probably do 25 to 30 flips this year.
What's your buy box?
Email Heidi@pacemorby.com. I just bought a deal from Doug Hopkins. I bought a deal from Jamil, Brent, and Raphael. I'd love to buy some deals from you guys as well. Send me your deals. I will close on them shits.
Awesome.
Bam. Same link?
Heidi@pacemorby.com. She's in charge of my flipping company.
Well, you always got good deals available too. Raphael's got some good stuff. He's got good deals.
Yeah, we talk to you guys all the time.
Yep.
Guys, make sure you go to Spotify or iTunes, go to Wholesale Hotline, and we come out with a podcast episode every single day of the week, whether it's Jamil by himself, Pace by himself, myself, Jerry Norton, and this show here every single week. I am telling you, it is action-packed. It is filled with instructions. So make sure you go to Wholesale Hotline. And if you want to spread the love, give us a review. We'd love that. And that's it. Wholesale Hotline number 253. We out.
Damn.
Thank you guys.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing? I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.